This evening, if you've opened your 21 Alive First Alert weather app and seen, hey, radar showing that there's some snow falling. Well, that's not necessarily the case. It's scanning snow up in the higher levels of the atmosphere, but it's just not reaching the ground quite yet. It will do so once we start to get to about midnight or so. The lower levels of the atmosphere will start to moisten up just a little bit so that snow can actually start to reach the ground. In between midnight and I would estimate 8 or 9 a.m., that's when we expect the snow to be most widespread. I've stopped the clock here at around 7:30 tomorrow morning. You can see pretty much everybody dealing with snow, at least in some form, and there's just some smidges of darker shades of blue. These are areas where, although light, snow could be a little bit more intense. So to the northwest of Fort Wayne, maybe some slightly more moderate intensity snow on Sunday morning. Once we get to the afternoon, the snow is going to be much more hit and miss and fairly light all throughout the area. So there will be times on Sunday afternoon where it's not snowing and times where there's going to be a little bit of light snowfall. Sunday night, we mostly expect the snow showers to be wrapping up. But on Monday, and especially Monday morning, if you're traveling to the west of Warsaw, or if you're traveling to South Bend or somewhere in northwest Indiana, a very strong, very prominent lake effect snow band will set up, causing some problems in that area of Indiana on Monday, because they're talking about several inches of snow accumulation actually sticking to the ground. For us, yes, we'll see a lot of snow fall, but honestly, it's not going to amount to a whole lot, and I'll talk why here in just a second. But first, let's talk about the impacts. So on Sunday, some minor isolated slick spots are possible, so we could be talking about a few slowdowns on the road. You might want to travel just a little bit slower on Sunday morning if you're heading out for early morning worship or breakfast or whatever it is on Sunday morning, because there could be 1 or 2 slick spots. I don't think it's going to be a huge widespread issue, but it's possible. Also take into consideration that in some instances, the snow is going to be slightly more intense, and it's going to be windy tomorrow. So it could be a little bit more difficult to see at times tomorrow while driving around. So just keep those 2 points in mind. I don't think it's going to be a huge concern, but Sunday travel could be a little bit trickier. Now let's get into the possible snow accumulation. And I want to show you what we're looking at. When we look at our weather forecasts, we look at a bunch of data, a bunch of different weather models. And these are just 4 weather models that I've chosen to sort of represent how much snow we believe is going to fall from Sunday through Monday morning. So that's the time frame for each of these, through Monday morning around 7 a.m. or so. The graph, this is our in-house model, and I'm not sure why the colors aren't exactly showing up here. Hey, there they are. Fort Wayne, it's estimating snowfall amounts about 1 inch. Wabash, 2 inches. Up in northwest Indiana, that darker shade of blue, that's where higher snowfall is expected. Similar result with the European weather model. The European weather model saying, hey, 1.5 inches of snow is possible in Fort Wayne Sunday through Monday morning. The American weather model, the GFS, showing about 1 inch of snow possible in Fort Wayne, 1.5 inches in Columbia City with higher amounts near South Bend. And the similar looking result from the North American mesoscale model. So this is a more high resolution, finer detail weather model run by the National Weather Service and NOAA. So when we take all of that data into consideration, this is the forecast that we've come up with. If you've watched us this morning, this blue boundary was a little bit further to the southeast. Fort Wayne, Huntington, Decatur, Bluffton, and Ossian, Paulding, Van Wert. I expect a dusting of snow maybe up to about an inch. There might be a rogue 1 inch snow tally by the time everything's all said and done, but for the most part, along and south of US 24, just a dusting of snow, maybe up to an inch. If you live in, I'd say, central Noble County, so Kendallville's kind of on this boundary of blue here, up through Angola as well, down through Columbia City, all of Kosciuszko County. 1 inch to maybe 1.5 inches of snow is possible. And honestly, I would personally, I know 1 to 1.5 inches is not a huge difference in numbers, but I would lean probably more towards the 1 inch mark than the 1.5 inch mark. And then, of course, like I showed, higher snow is expected in South Bend, Northwest Indiana. So if you're traveling that way on Sunday into Monday morning, that could be a little bit of a problem. Why are these numbers a bit different than the weather models that I just showed you? Or maybe your phone app is saying, hey, my weather app says I'm supposed to get 2 inches of snow, and I live in Decatur, and you're saying I'm only going to get a dusting. Well, we have to take into consideration the fact that for a week and a half beyond this past Friday, temperatures were in the 50s and 60s. It was really warm. And so the ground temperature is really warm right now, even though we were in the 30s for a good chunk of the day yesterday. We were in the 20s and the 30s all day today. It still takes a couple of days, a more prolonged period of time for the ground to cool off. So at least maybe initially, the snow that's falling hits the ground, probably melts. And then once it snows for long enough, at least the surface of the ground is cold enough for that snow to start to accumulate. So that's why I think we're going to see lower snow totals than maybe some of the weather models that have been floating around over the past couple of days.